Hello, story seekers. We're still here with long-time friend of the podcast, RJ Barker, all-round handsome bugger and lovely bloke. Hello, RJ.
Hello, Nico. Nico. I don't know why I called you Nick. It's not your name. But
it's that's entirely my fault. I just repeatedly dead name him over and over again for hundreds of episodes.
it might actually be because I just ran up the stairs as well and I'm a bit out of breath.
That'll do it.
Question one, why are you out of breath, man?
Because I ran up the stairs. We've not had stairs for long. They're a new thing for me.
Back to you, Dickensian Garrett. Stairs have just been invented.
Yeah.
He's got a Victorian Stanner stair lift being put in next week.
I did want a lift, but the budget didn't run to it.
So if everyone could go out and buy Heart of the Weirwood, that would help.
Yeah.
RJ,
really good.
have a lift in his house.
Yeah.
He wants a stair lift. Papa's going to buy himself a brand new stair.
I don't want a stair lift. I want an actual lift.
Oh, like an elevator thing. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, the old-fashioned type. You know, with the sort of metal.
Yeah, the great
dog.
cross. Yeah.
Yeah, and a man.
Yeah, it's like wearing a red outfit to.
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, an elevator attendant.
Yeah. Have you ever thought of a new career, Nico?
Many times, but I don't think it ever involved living in your house and saying, "Floor 2, sir."
You wouldn't live here. Don't be ridiculous.
He's going to go home afterwards. That's me.
You ring me at 2 a.m. I want to go to the kitchen. Yeah. Where are you, you bastard?
Yeah. There's a shed outside. You could you could live in the shed.
Oh dear.
Well, at least there's a D&D group locally that I know I could join.
There is, yeah, and they're having a riot of a time. I don't know what's going on, but it's noisy.
I'm betting half the playgroup's been eaten by a dragon, but that's just one man's guess.
Mm.
Oh, brilliant. Right, I'm going to open the questions with a slight shift on our normal question, which is, which of your books means the most to you?
Oh, that's weird, because they all mean different things. I think The Bone Ships is really close to my heart. Not just because it won the British Fantasy Award for Best Novel. He said, fulfilling his contractual obligation to his agent. But I really, really love the sea, and it felt like I caught the sea in those books, and they're just a really enjoyable thing to write. And also, they paid for the extension I'm starting right now, so I can tangibly see the effects of those books.
Yeah.
But I think it's shockingly rare for an author to sort of make enough to live on, and I think The Bone Ships put me in that position for now, because it's always precarious. So there's that. But on the other hand, my first set of books were very much about being a parent, so that they're very sort of tied into thoughts about my boy, who's a teenager now, he's 15. But so there's that. But,
how old was he when you were writing them? Was he like a baby when you were writing the?
Yeah, well, they came out in 2016, so he'd have been about 5, 4 or 5. But I was a stay-at-home dad because I was too poorly to work. At least that's the story that I've stuck by, and never back down. So he was there all the time, and it was making me think about how to be a decent parent. I mean, you're going to screw up, you can't help it, but the best that I could be. And that's what those books are very much about. The sort of the main character in it is growing up, and the person who looks after him is being a decent parent, which I really like. But I think it's probably The Bone Ships. I really like The Bone Ships.
I know we spoke in the last one a little bit about the latest trilogy, like being connected to your like recent illness as well. And it's fascinating to hear that like all these 3 trilogies happened at very different points in your life and had different effects. Sorry, Nico, I spoke over you.
No, I was just going to say, you were talking about how much you love the sea. Have you got to go out on a proper sailing ship and spend some time on top of the ocean?
Yeah, it's a trap. Because I know what I would be doing if I was on a proper sailing ship, and I won't be having a good time. I'll be throwing up.
You're like me.
Yeah, I like the sea if I'm stood on a pier.
Okay.
Because it doesn't move. And maybe a short trip, like 20 minutes on a boat. But at the end of that 20 minutes, I'm starting to think I'm actually ready to get off now. I do like a big ferry. I'm fine on a ferry, so maybe.
Oh no.
So you say that, but if you do that that crossing across the Irish Sea on like a rough crossing, you'll never say that again about ferries, because that is bloody awful.
Have you both done that?
Yes.
We did the French crossing, and that was a bit rough, wasn't it?
Didn't we?
I did do the long time ago, did the Irish Sea one, and so many people were sick, like actively vomiting, that when you went into the toilets, there was every time the ferry rocked and rolled, there was a sloshing wave of chunky sick that went across the floor and then back again, like a riptide.
God,
it was, and I was fine. I went in like not to throw up, but just like to use the toilet, and then I threw up because it was so horrendous that I had to throw up immediately.
Yeah, I couldn't. I'm not good with vomit. It's not something I like. So.
Are there people who are good with vomit? I mean, there probably are some people who are too good with vomit.
I mean, when I've been really ill, I've become quite blasé about it.
Yeah.
But it's not something I enjoy.
No.
There's always someone in there. There is.
Listen. White phone, and then think, there's a story in this.
But yeah, I mean, I love the romance of sailing ships, but I'm not sure I'm cut out for because they're also really hard work.
Yeah.
Physical work. So if I was going to go on it, I'd want to be supercargo, which is when you get to travel at the captain's pleasure.
Since you're princess, boat style.
Yeah, you don't have to do any work. You get a nice cabin, and to have tea with the captain, which is
so
delightful.
Yeah.
I now know the answer is not nautical crewmate, but do you feel connected to a particular culture? And if you do, has that shaped your writing at all?
Are we talking about goths?
You could be. It could be like a subculture, yeah.
Yeah, it's a really... I joke all the time about being goth. My wife is a goth. She really is. But I always kind of feel that my culture is never quite fitting in anywhere. And goths are very accepting of that. But there's a lot of sort of goth music I think is really bad. Which all my goth friends know. It won't be a shock to them. They won't be like,
this isn't a breaking news moment.
No. If they come, say, "Oh, do you want to hear something by The Mission?" and I'm there going, "No, I really don't. They're awful." But they are very accepting of that, and metal it is. But I don't know. I've never felt quite like I fit in. Even among writers, I never quite feel like I quite fit in, because a lot of the stuff that, especially in fantasy and science fiction circles, people like, I missed because I was doing music. So I don't have the comics background or a lot of books they've read, and my reading was always haphazard because I was skint because I was a terrible musician, so I never made any money. So I don't quite fit in, but I like everyone. If that makes sense.
I wonder if like not fitting in, like, because the other half of that question is like, has it shaped your writing at all? And that concept of never quite fitting in somewhere, that feels like it might have gone in somewhere into your writing, like especially after the story that you wrote for the last episode.
Yeah, I think none of my characters are people that fit in. I mean, obviously, I don't want to be like the one I wrote in my short story for this. He doesn't fit in a very bad way.
Yeah.
But just Gerton from the Assassin books, he doesn't quite fit in. You know, he's been trained to be an assassin and a killer, and actually, I think he'd probably be happier looking after horse type analog things they have in that world. And then Joron, the main character in the Bone Ships, he's forced into his position and finds he has a talent for it, but I don't think he would ever have chosen that. And I think he's a lot softer, and the people around him are all very hard. That's definitely me, because I'm always the softest person in the room. And even Kahan, he's an outsider. He's kind of rejected his society. But then again, a lot of my stories about people finding their way back as well, because I do think that it's important to have people. I mean, I am a lone wolf, but you're never truly a lone wolf. You need another wolf every so often.
Yeah.
That's why you have two wolves inside you, not just one.
It's good.
Yeah. That was quite serious for me.
It was quite serious, yeah.
Yeah, yes, stop it. Let's not go there.
Well, let's go back to your books again. So, where should the people listening start reading your body of work? Do you think? Like, what should they start with?
Oh, that really depends what you like. I think if you like a murder mystery, I'd go for Age of Assassins, because that's what it is. And it's a really sort of classic Agatha Christie style murder mystery. It's just set in a fantasy world with a lot of stabbing, which Agatha Christie. I mean, there was some stabbing, but not quite as much as there is in Age of Assassin books. If you like ships and you want a kind of really a story about people being, I've got this real belief that if you generally take someone and give them the opportunity to be better, that they'll take it. The Bone Ships is very much about that, about people who have been put aside and are now given an opportunity to do something good, and they go for it really wholeheartedly. And I don't know, if you just like something really weird, then go for Gods of the and dark. And probably a bit difficult to read, then go for Gods of the Weird one, because it's really weird. Because I'm immensely proud of it, because I know I pushed myself harder than I have with anything else, and there's a huge, big concept going on behind it that kind of when you work out what's happening, suddenly it kind of retrospectively makes you go. People go, oh, all right, and I know this from the reviews that I've read. But I think I'm still too close to it to. My editor did point out I don't like any of my books at the time they're being released.
Yeah, that must be a common phenomenon.
Yeah, I think it's much safer as an author to self-reject them. And if people turn around and go, "This is rubbish,"
there is something slightly unsettling when people are like, "My book's coming out today, and by the way, it's fucking brilliant. It's going to be the best thing you've ever read." Like, you're just like, "Oh, are you a bit too close to that?"
Yeah, I can't ever do that. It's really weird, because the nearest thing it gets to release as well, the more sort of pent up you get about it. But also, the third book in a trilogy is the easiest one to release, because you're like, well, it's all done now. Nothing about it.
Groundwork's laid.
Yeah,
it's the other shoe dropping, isn't it? The third book.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah,
it's not something we normally ask, but I think because your work is so varied, like for people listening who are considering, and quite rightly considering, picking up some of his stuff, what stuff would you say it's like? So people might say, "Oh, I like that. I should do this."
The Bone Ships is very definitely like Patrick O'Brian. If you like Master and Commander the film, if you like that, or Hornblower, any of those things, then you'll like the Bone Ships, because that's sort of the blueprint for it. The other ones, I'm not quite so sure, because don't tell anyone this, just between us.
Just between us and the microphones.
Just between us and the microphones. I'm not a massive fantasy reader. I did all my fantasy reading sort of in my 20s, and then went and read other things. Mostly this is because, as I said, I had no money, so I could read what was in the charity shops. So it was very varied. But my genres of choice tend to be crime or science fiction. So it's really difficult for me to say, oh, fantasy, if you like this, you like this. Robin Hobb comes up a lot.
I was just about to mention Robin Hobb, because the way that you were talking about the parental figure in the first trilogy, in the Assassin trilogy, remind me very strongly of Fitz and Burrich, or however you're supposed to say his name. that idea of being parented and just somebody else just trying to do the best with it.
Yeah, and I'm 99% sure that was why the book got bought.
Yeah, really.
The Orbit, Orbit thought, all right, this will appeal to people that like Robin Hobb because it's very like Robin Hobb. Which I didn't know at the time because I just thought I'd ripped off the historical crime writer C.J. Sampson, whose Shard Lake books were what
they've just been made into TV shows, I think, haven't they? The Shard Lake stuff. I think
they have.
Yeah,
it was all right.
Was it? Oh, it was one of those instances. Was it just okay?
Yeah, I suspect if you've not read the book,
right,
it's really good. But I didn't. I love the book so much that I think it would have been hard. It's like Slow Horses. That worked for me because they've utterly nailed that. I love those books. But Shard Lake, I really enjoyed it. But it wasn't Shard Lake how I see it. But he didn't wear his hat enough. In the books, he's always wearing like a hat. It really wound me up.
It's quite really difficult to put go on, sorry, Nico. Yeah.
So it's a really tricky thing, adaptation, isn't it? Because
yeah,
other than the obvious glowing beacon that is Lord of the Rings, I feel like if you like something enough, it doesn't matter how well they do it. If they get it near as damn it, you'll just pick out the tiny details. Or if they go completely the other way, you'll just hate it. And I'm looking at you, The Watch.
Oh, The Watch. Yeah, that was a fucking awful adaptation of Discworld. Good lord.
I don't think Pratchett at all lends itself to television. No. Because Pratchett is not as much a fantasy as it is a conversation between the writer and the reader about reading. And it doesn't work once you put it on TV because you lose the footnotes and all of that, which is such an intrinsic part of it that
it's a shame because it feels like there should be a way to do it. You know, with like a narrator voice cutting over the top of it. That feels like it would work, but they don't ever really properly do it, or they like confuse it with death quite a lot in some of the adaptations.
It's a really good. But the Slow Horses. I don't know if you've read those books.
I've not read the books, but I have seen the show, and the show is good.
The show is bang on. I was really worried about Gary Oldman because in the books, Jackson Lamb's described as Timothy Spall if he let himself go. And I was like, well, why isn't it Timothy Spall? It should be Timothy Spall. But no, Gary Oldman nails it.
He wasn't keen to let himself go.
Yeah, because he's kind of spruced himself up as Timothy Spall.
Yeah, yes, he's had a glow.
Yeah. But the best thing about the Roddy Ho, the absolutely horrendous tech guy they have in Slow Horses, and I tell everyone this because it just amuses me no end and I love it. He's actually much nicer than he is in the books.
Because he's a real unrepentant prick in the show, so
he is. And it just shows you how good the books are. That he's worse in the books. He's just so much worse, and it's genius. But I love this. The other really good adaptation, when you said about things adapting and just going in a completely different way, I don't know if you ever watched on Netflix Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective
Oh shit,
Agency.
that was great. Yeah, I watched that.
That was just brilliant.
Did you have thoughts on that one, Nico? Because you're a big Douglas Adams fan.
I haven't watched it.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah, maybe I should.
It's brilliant. It's not Dirk Gently, but it absolutely is.
Proper wacky.
Yeah.
I'll give you both my vow that I shall watch it.
Yeah, we rewatched it with the boy, and he was just he learned how hard and cruel the world is because series 2 ended, and he was just like, right, well, let's next one. There's not going to be a next one.
No, unfortunately, the guy behind the show got cancelled really hard.
Yeah,
he did not renew this show.
I don't know if it was him or if it was just Netflix doing. Well, we've done 2 because they do that as well.
Yeah, they do like to do that, don't they? They get you hooked on something and then pull the rug.
Yeah, I'm still furious about Lockwood and Co. being cancelled, which was.
I'm sure everybody's walking around with 2 or 3 times that Netflix has betrayed them.
I can't remember what it was called. The Greek God one they did last year.
Chaos.
Yeah,
that was really good, and it just dropped it like 2 hot rocks. It was.
Lockwood and Co. It was. They said it was aimed at kids, but it's really good, even if you're an adult. And I'm 99% sure they cancelled it for Dead Boy Detectives, which was quite similar.
Yeah.
Was it was a Neil Gaiman property. And how did that work out for you, Netflix? Hey?
Yeah, dear. Yeah.
Restart the clock, Mr. Gaiman mentioned.
Yeah, no, it has started to come up a lot more. I think it's just permeated, hasn't it? Because everyone's a bit in a state where the man was a fucking foundation to a lot of the things that we love. I feel like we're not equipped to fully go into that, especially
it has the potential to become very litigious.
Yeah, there's that too.
Yeah.
So I've always got the shadow of Kiss's lawyers hanging over me because I've been too near to them, so I don't need another set. So instead, I shall ask you a question, RJ.
How near were you to Kiss?
He was on a boat with them.
Oh, you were, weren't you? Yeah, you did a rock and roll boat. Yeah.
It was actually an incredibly cool thing that you did. Like that.
Yeah, it was
awesome stuff.
Just to get those lawyers involved, Gene Simmons puts ice cubes in his breakfast cereal. Mental. So.
No, is that real?
Yeah, that's real. He wants the milk to be cold.
No. Let's move on.
Hey, if you're going to rock and roll all night and party every day, your breakfast has to be really cold, RJ.
Why doesn't he just keep his milk in the fridge, Nick?
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not going to question the man.
He can afford to pay someone to keep the fridge in the coldest fridge and to run with his milk over to his cereal.
Maybe he eats his cereal slow. I don't know. I didn't ask.
I feel like I can hear the noise of a full ice cube, like a big chunky ice cube, dropping into muesli. I think it's like nails on chalkboard. It's horrible.
Do you see him as a muesli man?
Apparently I do. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Cheerios.
Cheerios.
Yeah. Oh, those American ones that have like little marshmallow people and stuff in them.
Oh yeah, Lucky Charm.
Lucky Charm.
Yeah, that's what I see. Gene's. Yeah. If he's like,
imagine he doesn't use a spoon and he just uses his big long tongue to just like scoop it up.
Like a cat.
You know, like how a cat drinks. Yeah.
Oh God! Can I legally say it? I think he's the creepiest man. That's an opinion, isn't it? That's safe, isn't it? Because that's my opinion. Yeah, I'm not claiming it's fact. He's just always really creeped me out.
I think I am claiming it as fact that that's how he eats his cereal. I think I'm happy to claim that as fact.
He spoke very highly of you, RJ. So it's
that's really. I'll apologise next time he comes around to use my ice machine for his cereal.
My cereal's getting a little warm, RJ. Do you mind?
You're getting close enough. You're on the Gene Simmons trajectory, RJ, because you've got that ice machine in your house now.
Yeah,
you're one step away from being Gene Simmons level breakfast mad.
And I bought a massive box of Frosties from Costco.
I'm sorry, man. You're fucked. Like put some ice in there. Find out why.
Oh no! I'm not doing it. I'm not.
You're gonna have to have
can't make me.
Time so we can ask if it was good.
I definitely will. I promise. I promise. If I do a full time, I will do the ice cubes in cereal before it come on. I'll be so angry with you. You ruined my Frosties.
I said I was going to ask a question some time ago. So, RJ, say hypothetically there were two writer podcasters now being held hostage by a powerful and capricious bibliomancer, and that bibliomancer drew his energy from people's love of books.
Yeah.
And he were to send those two out to find more books for his library. What novel is the closest to your heart to save their skins?
This is really hard. Am I allowed to... See, I want to say Watership Down, but I always give that answer because I adore that book. And I expect
you to the answer. That's like it's the one that's closest to your heart. That's what it is. What other books are coming to your mind then?
There's Watership Down. There's a book called L.A. Requiem by Robert Crace, which is an astounding thing, and made me think about writing in a different way, which is really clever.
Go on. What was so special about it? It
It's
sounds fascinating.
There's a whole succession of Elvis Cole and Joe Pike novels that Robert Grace has written, which are American set detective novels. And Elvis Cole is a wisecracking private eye, and Joe Pike is his partner, who is basically a psychopath with a very strong set of morals. And each book is kind of Joe gets himself in trouble. I mean, Elvis gets himself in trouble. Joe Pike turns up and kills people, and that's how the books work. And then LA Requiem does a thing where it tells the story from Elvis Cole's point of view, Joe Pike's point of view, and the bad guy's point of view, and it flips chapters as it goes along. And by the end, when you get the action sequence, it's flipping paragraphs. So you're getting this one-on-one fight from the people involved in it, and it's just an astounding, clever bit of writing that blew me away when I read it.
Wicked.
They're really good. Robert Grace is such a good writer. I don't think he'll let them do it on TV. I think he said.
Oh really? He's like, don't adapt this. Like,
yes. I went to see him at a thing, and I said, "Oh, they're based in Los Angeles." And Elvis Cole, you've got this wisecracking, light-hearted private eye, and then Joe Pike, you've got this sort of murderer with a very strong set of morals. Are they like day and night of LA? I've always seen them as a metaphor. And he looked at me and he went, "They are now."
That's proper like procreative answer, that isn't it?
Yeah,
meant to do it.
Yeah, but yeah, he was so that, and then this is a book that I forgot, and I saw somebody talking about it recently. And it's Weave World by Clive Barker, which I don't know how I'd forgotten it because it had such a massive effect on me when I read it. That it's I don't know if you've read it.
I've read bits and pieces of Clive Barker. I haven't read that though.
I've read some Barker, but not that.
Yeah. It's one of those brilliant things which is a really stupid sounding idea that just works amazingly, which is a world in a carpet.
And like the Borrowers kind of situation.
Yeah, but horrific.
but horrific, yeah.
Yeah. But really unpleasant. But the breadth of Clive Barker's imagination is just astounding. And a lot of people say the one after Weave World is better, and I've never read it because Weave World was the one for me, and I just thought that's fantastic. Can't remember the name of the next one. Kit would know that. That's a Kit question.
Good
next
Kit.
Clive Barker. Yeah.
Shout out
is it
Power.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it here though? No. Slacker. So yeah, there's a Watership Down would be the one. I mean, if I really needed to save you, I'd give him Watership Down.
Yeah, but if you were trying to like flex a little bit and maybe weren't too concerned with our safety.
Yeah, if I was having a bit of a chat with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why he's kidnapped you. Did you wrong him?
I've yet to figure it out, but I think we might have crossed him in some way. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd probably try and find out what that is, because as I said, I firmly believe everyone can do the right thing given the chance. So I
mean, Shogun, not me. You talk to him.
Yeah. And especially after he'd read Watership Down, which has the greatest bit in all literature in it. And do you know the greatest bit? Shall I tell you?
Yeah, go on, hit us. What's the greatest bit according to R.J. Barker? I love it.
I'll give you the lowdown of Watership Down. It is Hazel, who is a clever rabbit but not a strong rabbit, leads his bunch of rabbits away from their warren, which is going to be destroyed by people, and to Watership Down, where they make a new warren, but they also meet the Efrafen rabbits, who are led by General Woundwort, who is basically Rabbit Hitler, and he's massive. And there's a rabbit called Bigwig that goes with them, who's very strong and powerful. And him and Hazel there is tension until at some point Bigwig realizes actually what we need is clever, not strong. I'm strong, but you're clever, Hazel, and you are what matters. And the Efrafens attack them. And Bigwig has already had a kind of run-in with General Woundwort. And they have a grudging respect for each other. And then Bigwig buries himself in a run to protect Hazel and General Woundwort comes down it, and they fight to a standstill. It's really dramatic. And then General Woundwort says, "Look, we could be friends. Well, we could." He tries to make peace with Bigwig, and Bigwig says, "No, my chief rabbit has told me that I must guard this run, and I will not move, because that's what he's told me." And he's talking about Hazel, and he's talking about Hazel, who's not strong at all, but General Woundwort is so well written that he can't possibly think past the fact that Bigwig has fought him to a standstill, and there's another bigger rabbit waiting. And it's just a brilliant bit of writing. It's just fantastic because why that works.
I think I have to read it because I remember like flashes of like childhood PTSD of watching it, and you're seeing like rabbits like tear each other apart.
Yeah.
It does does Woundwort have like a one eye like scar?
Yeah.
I got like a full like me in front of the TV, full fear reflex reminder then. So
it's quite horrific. I mean, the most horrific bit is the poet rabbits. Which is best read, I think. But for a kid's book, I mean, Douglas Adams always said, "Oh, What Ship Down is a book for children. It's not important. It's just about some rabbits." And he like prefaces the chapters with bits from Homer. And you're like, stop lying. You don't put Homer and Keats in front of your chapters if it's for kids. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, monkey.
Absolutely. Great answers. So I think we're reasonably close to this next question here, which is, who inspired you to start telling your stories, like to start writing books for yourself?
Oh, well, in some ways it was Enid Blyton, because I had a copy of The Folk of the Faraway Tree when I was quite little. But it had the last few pages missing, so I had to make up my own end every time I read it. I've always thought that had something to do with it. But I've always read, and my mum was a big reader, and she liked poetry, so she introduced me to a lot of poetry when I was quite young. And that's kind of filtered down. And then I went and I think I wanted to be a writer. I love books. I wanted to do that, but I was a working class kid from Leeds that would just laugh. The school was like, "I don't think people become writers from here. You can be an electrician, maybe like your dad." And because I wanted to do something creative, I saw people in bands who were like skinny androgynous boys, and I thought, I can do that. That's me. So I went and played in bands for a long time because I enjoyed doing something creative, but I was really bad at it. Really bad at it. I was just terrible. I enjoyed it, but I was actually, you can hear my band. They released their last demo on Bandcamp long after I'd left, but they're really good. They're called Sugar Valve. So Sugar Valve, and it's called Fluoxetine is the demo. And apparently it came down to either them or the Kaiser Chiefs on who got signed, and it was the Kaiser Chiefs.
Wow.
Sliding doors moment there.
Yeah, but I'd left. Obviously, if they had got signed and become massive, I would hate them. But
yeah, that like the Beatles were left sort of thing.
Yeah. Though if I had been in the band, they wouldn't have got signed. They definitely wouldn't. But anyway, I stopped doing that, and I just went to some creative, and I just thought I'm going to write books, and I wrote short stories, and no one ever bought them. And then The Boy came along, and I thought, right, I'm going to properly commit to writing books, and I did. And I wrote and wrote and wrote. And the thing there's a book coming out called by Dan Coxon. It's a series of essays on writing fantasy, and I wrote a thing for it, and it made me think about why I do what I do, and the difference between being a musician and doing this. And I think the difference is every time I played bass guitar, it felt alien to me, and what I actually wanted was to be a rock star. Where when I write, it feels like the thing I should be doing, and what I want to do is be writing, and the rest of it is a bonus.
It's a bonus. Really I love that. Yeah. I love that. Like somebody finding their niche, their thing is such a lovely thing to witness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a joyous process. I mean, I don't understand why people who suffer all this pain to create stuff bother.
Yeah, Nico and I were talking about this the other day, and this idea that you it's definitely a lie that you need to have suffering in order to create art.
Yeah, it's just rubbish. Just not true.
Yeah, I think obviously people's life experiences can give them an angle on things. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah,
but I don't think you don't need to go and like go through 10 divorces to be able to write a novel. That's not true.
It's much easier to write a novel knowing that you can go downstairs and get dinner than it is thinking how am I going to pay the bills this week. Far easier. Having been in both places, I can tell you that.
You've done both.
You're not on the classic writer's diet of 2 bottles of bourbon and a pack of 20 Marlboros then.
No. I gave up drinking when I got ill because any alcohol comes with a 2-week hangover now.
That's horrible. I know we've been talking about it like it's in the past, but my understanding is that you are in a better place with your health and stuff. Is that right?
Yeah. I got ill because I can't remember the way, but I told you what. It's really boring. I had to change I was getting more and more ill because the drugs that were making me well have a limited amount of time they'll work on you, and mine were stopping working, so I had to go cold turkey on them, and my body just completely freaked out, and then I started having like really high temperatures, and they couldn't give me the drugs because they thought I had some sort of infection, but the same symptoms that show for an infection also show for Crohn's disease when you're not being treated. So it was kind of no one quite knew what was going on, and eventually I think I got down to 6.5 stone, and the nurse went fuck it,
give me the drugs. 6.5 stone.
Yeah.
Good lord, that's like Christian Bale kind of.
Yeah, I know. I could have made such a good movie, but instead I just sat and I watched really bad daytime TV about people fixing cars, and I'm quite fascinated by it. I don't know why.
Hey, that came out in your story.
It did. The car manual. Yeah, I know nothing about cars. Actually, it was motorbikes that I watched, and I discovered Adam Milliard. I'm fascinated by it. Have you come across him?
You say Neil Yard?
Adam Milliard. Did I tell you about
it? We did talk about this last time you were on. Actually. Yeah, we did. Yeah, I remember it now.
Yeah. Oh man, his motorbikes just mental. Anyway, that's not of interest to your audience.
But we are very glad that you're feeling better, like far better.
So am I. My wife was a bit annoyed because it meant that I interfered in the last parts of our building thing.
So she didn't get the energy to get involved.
yeah, she didn't get entirely her own way, but we survived.
Yeah, I've got to ask, because of your Enid Blyton route, have you ever thought about writing a choose-your-own-adventure story because of that?
Do you know how complicated that is? And
that's why I'm asking you. I ain't fucking doing
it. What that needs is somebody who is really good at organising and planning, and that's not me. So no, not a chance. I'd fail so hard that I'm just not even going to attempt it. It's tempting though because that's a way into video games, and I quite like to write for a video game. But
ooh, yeah. But you could also try writing for like tabletop games and stuff. I know when you were talking about obviously it's a very different world, but your Forsaken trilogy with the massive trees and stuff. There's an RPG out called Wildsea by Felix Isaac, and it's about a world where the trees have like won the planet, and you have to like sail on the top of the trees, and they're 2 miles high.
Wow!
It's fucking wicked, and I think you'd be all over it because it's weird as shit as well.
That sounds brilliant.
Yeah.
There's a book called, I think it's called The Forever Sea by Joshua. Oh, what's Joshua's second name? I don't know. But that's about a planet that's been taken over by grass, and they sail over massive grasslands.
Yeah, similar sort of thing. Yeah.
That does sound up my street. I've got a question for you. Can I ask my question?
Yeah, go for it.
Yes.
Yeah. When are we getting a Tiny Bookcase anthology?
Ooh, that's a good question. We did one really early, and it turned out to be a fucking load of work.
It's a load of work. Yeah.
But I think it would be really cool. We've discussed doing stuff like just releasing mine and Nico stories, which I think would be a lot simpler from like a legal standpoint. But but it would be really nice to get everybody that's written for the podcast to be able to.
I mean, I would donate a story to you.
Yeah, I mean that'd be fucking wicked. Yeah, I mean it's there's so many good stories, and we encountered so many good writers that it does feel kind of criminal that we haven't done it. So it's a great question.
Because you might be able to go to someone like PS Publishing or Luna Press for Scotland and say, "Hello, we are the award-winning Tiny Bookcase anthology, and we'd like to do this," and they might do the heavy lifting for you.
Ooh, that's a bloody good idea.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Nico?
I think we should continue this conversation off mic.
Yeah.
No one wants to hear business, Nico.
Business, Nico.
What are the projections? How's the NASDAQ looking?
Your quarterly reviews.
Yeah. Have you got your charts ready?
Yeah.
Bring me pictures of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's actually all a show. He's not the kind of like fun-loving, funny guy that he presents himself on the podcast. He's a really like buttoned-down Sorari man.
Once you're up there, he's screaming at you about the optics.
Yeah,
Ben, what did you look at it? Listener numbers are down by 2%.
It's every time we mention Neil Gaiman they go down.
Ben, Tiny Book Coin is down. We need to really get back on the book, the blockchain, and figure this out.
Bibliocoin, yeah. Fucking hell, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. Good question. And yeah, in all honesty, we've been potentially lax on our side of things. I think we do need to do it because we've got bloody loads of stories, and we can't publish them anywhere because they've already like come out basically.
Yeah, I think it is a needed thing. The award winning. Tell you what, I'll talk to Dan Coxon. But he has sworn he's never doing another anthology. But he might be able to point you at people because he's lovely. He's done a few things.
This feels an awful lot like the beginning of The Producers, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It turns out you can make more money from a flop. Did you know that, Nico?
Raise $2 million. There's a lot of little old ladies out there.
The thing is, you have to crowdfund everything now, don't you? Which is just horrid.
Yeah.
When you should be getting an arts grant off the government.
Do you remember those?
Yeah, that's what should happen.
Shout out to Wales because the Welsh arts program is fantastic, and they really do support new bands if they're Welsh.
Do you live in Wales?
No.
Well, I've got the start of a plan, and it starts with an estate agent.
Yeah.
And it ends in Caerphilly.
Hello, story seekers.
I hear that the Welsh really like it when English people move to their villages and take over specifically to take advantage of their arts funding. They love it.
They do. It's brilliant. You'll be welcomed with open arms.
With that in mind, right, RG, what role does religion have in fantasy storytelling for you?
Please don't do the voice.
We're Welsh now, Ben. We need the funding.
No, we're going to get lynched. Stop.
It's only Nico that's going to get you. The Welsh will be fine with you because Ben, you were trying to protect us. I'm not doing an accent. Hope you notice, Nico. I'm going in the Wicker Man. Religion. Well, that's a big question.
It is.
Yeah. What role does religion play in fantasy?
Well, in like particularly like having like fantasy storytelling, I think. Like
I always think of like fantasy and science fiction as two sides of the same coin. And I'm kind of not going to answer your question, but I kind of think about fantasy. It is about a world where man is trying to control nature, and science fiction is about nature is under control. And I think gods sort of play into that because they're it's quite good to be like a god is an unknowable, a force of nature, and it's not. I mean, you've asked this because it's called Gods of the Weirdwood, haven't you? You're expecting me to have a sensible answer, but I don't, and I can't tell you why because it's really spoilery. But in the Bone Ships, for me, the religion of the people is like a mirror to their society. So the Bone Ships has this really cruel and cold society, and their gods appear quite cruel and cold. Though actually, maybe they're not. It's also very informed by me being quite a staunch. I don't say atheist because there's a lot of twattery around being an atheist. Agnostic.
Agnostic is the more sort of like
yeah, and see, I don't mind it if someone's religious. Do it. Just don't hurt people. And for me, religion is always a mirror. It's always a mirror to the society, and that's why I use it. You see in the gods the way they think, and that doesn't necessarily mean they're real. Though it's quite fun that you can make them real. But I don't. Yeah. I don't really feel like I interface. There's a lot of fantasy that has like gods in the Greek god sort of way, where they actually come down and interfere and stuff like that. But I don't really do that. I'm much more interested in people. So religion is kind of a mirror to them. But then the Weirdwood books are very heavily religious. But
are we really talking about like how like belief works then in fantasy?
Yeah,
like it's like how do the people who believe in things in fantasy interact with that world?
Yeah, because one of the characters in the Weirdwood is a monk, and she absolutely believes in her god, and her god is also probably real, and the gods in that world are probably real, and you can see physical manifestations of their power in a way that God in our society is not. He doesn't sort of turn up and give you a new car when you need one. Any of the new cars are really on my mind because I'm going to test drive an electric car next week, and my wife is very much against this.
Is she like, no, it's diesel or nothing?
I want the environment. No, it's not a Fiat 500. It's basically the biggest problem. She loves Fiat 500s, but Fiat 500s do not fit a massive 15-year-old in. Anybody you notice, I've got off the subject of gods.
Yeah, straight.
I was flailing there.
Cars, the modern, okay, I can see it.
They're very much like gods, are electric cars, in that they have faces and no one really knows how they work.
That was somehow the best and worst response to that question. I loved it. Oh man, the electric cars. How did you get there?
Yeah, I think writers need to be more upfront and truthful about. Sometimes they write things just because it kind of works, and they've not really thought about it much. And that is my approach to religion in my books. It's just, this works. I've not thought of it past that.
I love your company so much, RJ. This podcast has never been further off the rails in its 5-year run.
No, it's serious writer talk. That's what we're having.
There's been some serious writer talk in here.
There's some proper. But the weirdest thing is, if you put me in front of my book and like make me read passages, that I can retcon that and give you a serious answer about why that thing is that thing. But I'm not sure I can talk about in fantasy in general, because I know too many fantasy authors, and they'll all give you a different answer. And God bless them. I mean, their answers are wrong, obviously.
Because yours is right,
yeah. Mine is right, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it means something, and it's used in different ways for everybody, and it's also not something that particularly interests me. I'm much more interested in people, and I think everything. Oh, you're making me think seriously about what I do. I'm going to get you for this, I promise. You'll pay. Everything in my... Yeah. I'm going to force Nico to move to Wales. I'm going to write awful, like, poison pen letters saying he only came for your funding. That's my
You'd
plan.
be right.
Yeah. Everything in my books, religion, world building, all of that, it is about making the characters react to it, and that is what interests me. And all the rest of it is, I'm not going to say fluff because that's like a Ratner's thing, where he said his jewelry was rubbish. That's all like the set dressing for the thing that I'm really interested in, which is how people work. Yeah, that's the series. Yeah.
You got it. You got it. You got there.
Yeah, if you could edit it, Nico, so I just do that bit. Brilliant.
No.
No.
Oh, damn you.
So you're like, it feels it's such a monumental achievement, because I know you've actually written more books under a different name as well, but like you have 3 trilogies out now.
Yeah,
that's really impressive. What a body of work. And they've people have liked them as well, and they've done well. Do you like? You may well turn around to me and say, I can't possibly talk about this, but do you have any like sort of little glimmers of what your next project is?
Yeah, I know. My next project is finished.
It's done.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
Nice.
I can't tell you a lot about it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I've written 2 more books that should be coming out next year and the year after. They're very different to my other stuff. I would say probably easier to approach, I think. I think one of the things that I've not done in my fiction before is I think if you come and see me or we do something like this, and maybe we're not quite as serious as some other writers, I don't know, but I've heard the word silly bandied about, but obviously I'm an artist. That's not true. I don't think if you come and see me and then you pick up my books, I'm not quite sure you get what you expect.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
These are more kind of what you might think you get from me. There's much more of my sense of humour in them.
That's exciting.
That is exciting.
Yeah, and my agent was quite excited about when he read them. And I have on submission at the moment Space Cats, which Space Cats, yeah, which is one of those that's novellas, science fiction novellas, and it sounds like a really cutesy concept, and it's actually really hard science fiction that asks like really big questions, and but it does kind of boil down to what if you put a cat in a mech suit.
I'm so in.
Yeah.
I'm so in.
I was literally sat watching my cat and just thinking, what was the worst thing I could possibly give you? Oh, a battle suit.
Gundam.
Yeah,
Gundam, yeah.
But they're about they're questions about trauma and consent asked through the medium of cats in mech suits, and it's a really sort of fun world that my agent Ed read it and just went, oh, you should have Ed on. I don't think he'd write you a short story though. He doesn't write, but he's quite fun.
It would be quite nice to get some just chats with other people that are in the like adjacent storytelling that would have really serious takes on storytelling on, I think.
Yeah, Ed is tremendous fun and really, really well read and interesting. He did a thing, I can't remember the name of the podcast, Croncast it's called, where they talk about people's favourite books, and he did House of Leaves, which he said I should read. And I've tried reading, and it's completely beaten me. Have you read it?
No, I've heard it's complex though.
Yeah,
it's a good old-fashioned country try at university.
yeah, it's not a taking prisoners book. Isn't House of Leaves?
Are we talking like Joyce's Ulysses kind of level here?
No, it's not annoying.
Savage.
I once sat next to a James Joyce scholar on an aeroplane, and she was brilliant. And I said, "Oh God, I used to try reading Ulysses regularly, and I never got past page 9." And she went, "Yeah, honestly, you never need to read Ulysses unless you're a James Joyce scholar. That's the only reason to read it. And otherwise, just read the last chapter because it's basically a recap." I was like,
what a hack.
Yeah, from the horse's mouth.
There you go.
Just watch Her Brother Were Art Thou. It's fine.
Same story.
Yeah. Just go
but
full Odyssey with it.
But I did Chroncast on Watership Down, which was really fun because they go really deep into books. But Ed would be fabulous. Can't remember how we got onto this. What were we talking about?
We were talking about your next project, which obviously is under sort of lock and key to a certain
degree. Because it's not been announced yet, and I can't tell you much about it. But Spacecast.
I'm just glad that you're right. That you've got more stuff coming out, and it's got the you imagine the sense of humor thing. It sounds like it's going to be a really good time. And
I had a bit of a because when I was I know I'm properly ill because I stopped writing, and and I stopped writing, and then I didn't have any new ideas, and it was really frightening. And kind of looking back, I thought, well, yeah, you've been writing solidly for 10 years, and then you were really ill, and you tried to go right back into it, and maybe that wasn't the best decision to make, but it's difficult not to, because when you are right, there's always the feeling that you're only as good as your last thing, and then because the stuff that I can't talk about was written before I became the first book was written before I became really ill.
Right. Okay.
And then the second one I finished just after I became really ill, but I had done the groundwork for it. I knew what I was doing. Then I was kind of, I don't know what to do now. I'm kind of, what if there are no more ideas? This is bad. And then Space Cats hit, and then a few other ideas kind of, and editing for the book came, and that was different and really interesting, and I really enjoyed it. I like editing. And then I had an idea for another book that I've just started in the last week. I'm just having a blast with, and I can tell you, but you have to cut it out, the actual thing.
Yeah.
I'll ask me once we've turned off the recording.
We'll do it off mic. We'll rather unfortunately leave everyone salivating.
Yeah, but it was lovely because I had an idea that was sort of really clear, and that'll work. And I could write that. And then I rang up Ed, my agent, and said, I want to run something past you. Tell me if you think you could sell it. And he went, yes, write that now. Send me 3 chapters and a synopsis. I was like, okay, I'll do that. So I've done that. And I had an idea for a thriller, which I wrote as well. So that there was that. I think I worked out I've got 8 books in the hole, so to speak.
You're a machine, man. Like, that's like
freakish.
If we it's been a while since we mentioned him, but George Martin, like, do you reckon you could like just finish his books for him so that we could actually get on with our lives?
Absolutely not, because that is a poison chalice, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It wouldn't matter what you did.
No, man, I'm pretty sure the last people that finished that story off were really lauded for it.
Yeah.
They didn't rush it or anything, did they? They took their time, you know.
Yeah, because the guys that wrote The Expanse, they used to be George's assistants.
What, the 2 guys that make up James S.A. Corey?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that. That's fascinating.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure this is on record. Oh, I'm about to get in a lot of trouble, but I'm pretty sure it's on record. Someone asked them, would you finish Game of Thrones? And then they both went, no. No, thank you. That's not going to win us any love, is it? And it wouldn't. I mean, even if the unlikely event they came to me and said, right, George has had enough, he wants someone else to write it. The vast amount of money involved would be tempting, but I wouldn't be able to do it. And everyone would hate you.
It would. That's the real problem there, isn't it? It would burn the rest of your career.
Yeah. It would never, no matter what you did, it would never be good enough. Because it would never be what he was going to do. So
I do wonder whether Joe Abercrombie's been approached at any point in the last few years.
Yeah, I can't imagine he would want.
He would definitely set it down, 100% set it down, because he's big enough on his own, isn't he?
Yeah, but, and I think we've got a Joe Abercrombie TV series coming. I think.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah,
what a writer! What a writer!
Yeah, he's lovely as Joe as well.
You should have you read his recent book, The Devils?
No, because as we came into earlier on, I don't read fantasy.
Yeah, I think if you like his, because I know you like Master and Commander and things like that.
Yeah,
it does veer more towards like the historical fiction than it is still fantasy, but it kind of reads like historical fiction a little bit.
I suspect from what my friends that love it have told me, it's not my sense of humour.
Right, fair enough. Yeah.
It's also people say banter. So you'll love this. It's got loads of banter in it.
And I immediately know.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as somebody says that, I think, right, I'm not going to read that because it's not going to work for me at all.
You do it like banter. You know, the mad bants, mate.
No, I hate it. I hate I hate quippy.
Oh yeah, like
stuff.
that kind of like
Marvelization,
quippy shit where somebody says something serious and meaningful, and then somebody has to drop like a C-grade joke on the end of it.
Yeah, it makes me really cross when violence is made to look cool, because violence is awful. And I think that's something I try and do in all my books, is make you think I do not want to be in that world. Or living that life. So I'm just weird. And there's an awful lot of crime novels I have to read.
You got to read what you love. That's fair.
Yeah, fair. And what I really love is big concept science fiction. That's my Ian Banks, probably. If going back to your kidnapper.
Yeah.
If rather than one book it was a series, it would be Ian Banks culture books.
We'll let you have 3 choices and a series. I think.
Ian Banks culture books, because they're just such astounding works of imagination and so full of love for people, which is something that's really important to me. In all, I've noticed all the books I like, they're really. I think a lot of grimdark. The reason I don't get on with that is because it's quite nihilistic about people as a whole.
Yeah,
and I mean, I joke about stuff, but that's not for me. I don't want to read something like that. I want to read something that kind of gives me hope. And Ian Banks' stuff is just full of it, full of the possibility of better things, which I absolutely love.
Fantastic. Well, it seems a shame to draw it to a close, doesn't it, Nico? But I think I think we've actually got the title of the longest Tiny Bookcase set of episodes.
We do. I mean, RJ's bought us a hell of a lot of time. I mean, the hypothetical writer's a hell of a lot of time.
Yeah.
From Mysteris. I mean, the unnamed bibliomancer with all the recommendations, and you do have, from the sounds of it, 3.6 million books to be writing.
I do.
So we are going to release you, but before I do, could you tell the lovely people, and I know it's a blue sky, but where they can find you in the bluest of skies?
RJ Barker on Blue Sky. That's how you find me. Just put in that name and it will bring up me.
And I'm told you have a website.
I do. It's rjbarker.co.uk, which is quite handy.
And just one more time, it's the Forsaken trilogy that has just wrapped up in the 3rd book, Heart of the Weird Wood. It sounds bloody brilliant. So do go and try it out. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time, RJ. It's gone in the blink of an eye. It's our longest recording, and it felt like our shortest one.
It's always a joy.
Marvelous company every time, mate.
Yeah, we have to get you back for not the next 1 star, because that's booked up. But we're going to bring you for the 1 star again. We might even split you up next time.
Split us up? Oh,
no.
I don't know. Yeah. We've got pajamas and everything, though.
Well, time to go to bed, man.
Somehow alluring.
Lose that image. He's moving nearer to you, Ben. You know it.
Where's my ducky?
Thanks for joining us for this episode of The Tiny Bookcase.
Remember to subscribe, otherwise you're going to miss out on the future fun.
Also, tell a friend. If you like this episode, link them to it.
We'd be tremendously grateful. You can follow us on Twitter at BookcaseTiny, Facebook at The Tiny Bookcase, and Instagram at BookcaseTiny for updates. Speaking of supporting the podcast, well, magic can only take one so far. The Tiny Bookcase is supported by the generosity of its patrons. Those kind souls have really kept my belly full the last year. Let's cast a spell for them, shall we? For rich ginger tones on their scalp, let us cast the Orangi Hedondo spell for Scott Byrne. And for general fabulousness, why not the Ooh La La, How's Your Mother spell on Matthew McLaren?
How do you come up with that shit, man?